So you're planning a move to Florida and the city of Melbourne keeps popping up on your radar and you're wondering, is this the right city to move? Well, in this video, I'm going to go over the pros and cons of living in Melbourne, Florida. So stick around. If this is your first time here, my name's Eric Larkin and I'm a real estate agent here on the Space Coast. And when I'm not making videos like this one, I'm helping people buy and sell real estate. So if you have plans of making a move, let me know how I can help. Let's get on with this video on Melbourne, Florida. First up, one of the things that I love about the city of Melbourne is the location in Brevard County. If you haven't noticed on a map, Brevard County is it's uniquely shaped. It's one of the longest counties. It's over 70 miles from end to end, and it's kind of skinny. It's about 25 miles wide at the widest point. And Melbourne, right in the middle. And because of this location, you can get to any city in Brevard County in less than 30 minutes. You've got 3 causeways that's connecting Melbourne to the beaches. I-95 cuts right through the west end of the county, and Melbourne has 6 of the 18 exits, so it's easy for you to get on 95 and head north and south rather quickly. You also have US 1, that's a great connector north and south, and Wickham Road as well. And all 6 of those exits off 95 are your east and west connectors too, so getting around Brevard County is easy because of all this. I love a city that has great parks and great outdoor recreation. I've mentioned Wickham Park in another video along with the 2 municipal golf courses the city of Melbourne has. There's also more golfing nearby. If you head north into the Suntree Vieira area, you've got Suntree Country Club, you've got the Baytree National, you have Duran's Golf Course, and also Vieira East. So there's some fantastic golfing in Melbourne, Florida. So in and around the city of Melbourne, there's over 40 parks for you to enjoy. Some of the great parks to explore are Emma Nixon, which is 53 acres of nature and trails to explore. You have Lake Washington Park, which is a fantastic place to go see a sunrise, to see some of the Florida natives, as well as launching your boat, regular or airboat. And you have the Crane Creek Promenade for watching manatees. You've got the Vieira Wetlands at the north end of Melbourne off of Wickham, where you could definitely see some gators if you go walking through the paths that are there. You'll see local Florida birds along with some migratory birds that could be passing through the area too. If you love to kayak, there's some options in Melbourne where you can launch your yak. You can go to Ballard Park, which is just south of O'Galley Causeway. When you launch from there, you could either go explore the Indian River or head west up the O'Galley River or explore Elbow Creek. There is the Crane Creek that you could access near 192, either near Front Street or near the Crane Creek Promenade. City of Melbourne also has a great running community. They're regularly hosting 5Ks, half marathons, and full marathons throughout the city. And if you are moving here and want to discover the running community, go visit the Running Zone's website where you can see where all the local fun runs are happening throughout the week in Melbourne and in the surrounding areas. Plus, if you're looking to get fitted for new shoes, go check out the Running Zone. Now, the unfortunate con to some of the parks that they have in Melbourne, and also I've seen in other cities here in Brevard County and across the country, they seem to be a place for homeless to move into or congregate to either during the day or try to set up camps. Fortunately, the city of Melbourne and their mayor has been working with some local organizations to help educate, get the homelessness off the street or maybe relocate them to other areas. Paul Alfrey was elected mayor to Melbourne in 2020, and that was one of his campaigns, was he wanted to make our parks and streets safe so his children can go to the parks and enjoy the space that we have throughout the city of Melbourne, which I think is an excellent cause. If you'd like to see more of what the city of Melbourne is doing, I'll have a link in the description below so you can see everything that they're doing to help keep Melbourne safe. I don't know about you, but I love seeing live music and live performances. And there's venues throughout Melbourne that you can go and enjoy some live music. 2 of the big venues I'd like to point out is you have the Henniger Center off of 192 that has regular Broadway production type plays that are there at the facility, and also the King Center. Besides having the Broadway plays that come through, you could also see national live acts perform their music and also comedians that come through too. If you think it's important that a major city like Melbourne, Florida has great hospitals and medical facilities nearby, they've got you covered. They have 3 major hospitals. You have Health First in Vieira, you have Melbourne Regional off Ellis Road, and Holmes Regional off of Hibiscus. You have the VA hospital in Vieira. There's the Orlando Health Arnold Palmer on O'Galley Causeway, and there's also walk-in clinics and emergency clinics throughout the city of Melbourne too. And I don't know if this would be filed as a pro or a con or a love or a hate, but it's property taxes. You gotta pay them no matter where you're living, and if you happen to be living inside the city limits of Melbourne, your millage rate is 17.1069, and if you're living outside of the city limits, your millage rate is 11.7258, and this is for the year 2022. These get reevaluated every year. I just wanted to give you a guideline of where taxes are at right now in the city of Melbourne. If you like the video so far, if you haven't done so already, it'd be great if you hit that like button. Any comments or questions you have, I'd love to hear from you too. Are schools important to you? According to greatschools.org, Melbourne has some of the best schools in the county. Longleaf, Suntree, and Quest Elementary are considered well above average. West Shore Junior Senior High is considered an above average school, and Melbourne High and Lyndon B. Johnson Middle School are considered average. If you'd like to see what the other schools are ranked, here's a link below to greatschools.org. Are you worried about having to evacuate for a hurricane? The good news is, living in Melbourne, unless you're east of US 1 to the river, you're not in a mandatory evacuation zone. So if a storm's coming, you can choose on, after you batten down the hatches, if you're going to stay in the home or if you're going to skedaddle. And usually what comes up next when people are asking about hurricanes and whether or not you need to evacuate, the next question is usually flood insurance, and is it required to have flood insurance if you're living in Melbourne? So most of Melbourne is in flood zone X, which is not in a flood zone, and it's not required to have flood insurance. The areas of Melbourne that are in a flood zone that would be required to have flood insurance, you'll be somewhere near the Crane Creek, maybe the O'Galley River, definitely along the Indian River coast. Those houses that are right on the river more than likely are in some type of flood zone. But you could easily check the FEMA maps to see what the properties might be. And if I'm helping you find a property, I always look at the flood maps to see if the property is in a potential flood zone or not. So we got you covered. And the worst thing about living in Melbourne, Florida, in my opinion, is the traffic. Traffic can be horrendous at times. Wickham Road, whether you're traveling north and south near O'Galley Causeway, it always seems to get jammed up and bottlenecked. Same thing near 192. Traveling on US 1, it's a little bit better because the speed limit's a little bit quicker, but you still have congestions and things backing up around the O'Galley Causeway and around 192 as well. And Pineda Causeway, the 404, gets jammed up too, depending on the time of day and directions that you're going. And State Road 192, it's just tough going either direction. There's a lot of traffic that's on this road, and there's a lot of stoplights that just kind of seems to slow things down. So if you choose to drive on 192, have some patience. And with all that being said, because of the size of Melbourne, there are some alternatives to help you get around traffic too. On the east side of town, you have Stewart, you have Croton, and you have Babcock to help you get north and south. And on the west side of town, you have John Roads and Turtle Mound to help you get north and south as well. And whenever possible, I like to use 95 in order to help me jump from like Pineda Causeway to 192 to get around some of the congestion that's there in Melbourne. So is Melbourne perfect? No, but really it's not a bad place to live if this is where you choose to decide looking for a home. And if you have any questions about the area or an upcoming move, I'm here to help. You can either drop a comment below or find me on any of these social media platforms and send me a DM there. And if you stuck around this long, you probably like what you're hearing. If you haven't done so already, you should consider hitting that subscribe button. I'm also queuing up 2 more videos for you to watch next. My name's Eric Larkin with Real Brokers here in Brevard County, Florida. I appreciate you tuning in, and I'll see ya on the next show.